Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into today's stories. It was a cold autumn night in Tokyo. The lanterns along a Kasaka road flickered in the cool breeze. A merchant named Isao, tired and heavy with his day's bundles, hurried up the steep slope called Kino-kunizaka. The Kino-kunizaka was infamous among locals. It wasn't just steep, it was a winding, shadowed pass that felt completely isolated, a ribbon of stone cutting between high, overgrown embankments that shut out the light and sound of the city. The noise of Tokyo quickly died behind Isao, leaving only the soft rustle of dry leaves and the chirp of crickets. He just wanted to get home, where the smell of warm rice and the gentle sight of his wife, Oki, waiting by the low table promised immediate relief from the day's long, cold exhaustion. As Isao walked, a faint, ragged sobbing reached his ears. He slowed down and listened sharply. At first, he tried to ignore it, telling himself it was just the wind or an animal. But the sound grew sharper and clearer, laced with unmistakable human despair. Intrigued and worried, he turned his gaze toward the source. By the edge of the old stone canal, a distant lantern cast a soft, weak light on a young woman. She was sitting directly on the cold ground. Her clothes were immediately noticeable, a beautiful, patterned kimono, expensive silk, not common cotton, with extra-long, sweeping sleeves that pulled around her. Her posture was completely desolate as she wept into the fabric of her arms. "Miss, are you all right?" he called out gently. "Do you need help?" The woman kept weeping, her face hidden deep in her sleeves. The merchant felt a strong pity. His heart started to pound with the urge to comfort her. He took a step closer. "Don't cry. I can help you," he urged softly. Slowly, she lifted her head. Her long, black hair cascaded like shadows around her shoulders. The merchant froze. His breath hitched in his throat as she turned to face him. Where her beautiful features should have been, there was only a horrifying, empty, smooth expanse of skin. No eyes, no mouth, no nose. Just a blank, expressionless face staring directly at him. Pure fear shot through the merchant. He let out a desperate scream, spun on his heel, and ran. Panic propelled him up the slope, each footfall echoing his terror in the stillness of the night. He dared not look back, his mind racing with questions. What had he just witnessed? He sprinted until he reached a flickering lantern on a sharp turning along the roadside. It lit a small cart where a soba vendor was quietly preparing noodles. The merchant Isao flung himself onto the ground beside the vendor, gasping loudly for air. His chest burned, and his entire body was shaking from the encounter. "I saw a woman by the moat," he stammered, shaking violently. "She was crying, but when she turned to me, she had no face." The soba vendor paused. His hands stopped moving. He looked at the merchant, considering his words. "A faceless woman, you say?" he asked calmly. "Was it anything like this?" He raised a hand and gently stroked his own cheek. The merchant stared, dread seizing him again. The soba vendor's face, too, was a blank canvas, devoid of all features. In that terrifying instant, the lantern over the cart flickered violently, as if reacting to the fear in the air, and then, with a sharp sputter, it went out. The entire scene plunged into absolute darkness. A suffocating silence descended. The merchant's heart hammered in the pitch black. He suddenly felt a weight behind him. He knew, instinctively, that he was not alone. The cold air around him thickened with tension. "What is happening?" he choked out, fear gripping him like a vice. The darkness felt alive, pressing against him. The vendor's voice, now eerily calm, cut through the silence. "The Kino-kunizaka is haunted, my friend. Many have met the Mujina, but few have survived to speak of it." The merchant's blood ran cold. He scrambled to his feet. "I must go," he shouted, stumbling blindly into the dark. He could feel the chilling sensation of unseen eyes watching his every desperate move. As he ran back down the slope, he could hear the soft, haunting sound of weeping trailing behind him, echoing in the night. The cries of the faceless woman and the vendor's eerie words intertwined in his mind. The city lights flickered in the distance, a desperate beacon of safety. He finally burst onto a busier, brightly lit street. He quickly turned back to look at the slope, just a dark, quiet memory now. But the sound of the weeping lingered, a chilling reminder of the faceless ghosts who haunted that lonely road. From that night on, the merchant never went near that path again. Athenodorus Canonites was a respected philosopher, originally from Tarsus, modern-day Turkey, born around 74 BC. He was actually the teacher of Augustus, the first Roman emperor. While traveling to Athens, Athenodorus needed a place to live. During his search, he found a very large house that was remarkably cheap. When he asked why, the local people told him the house was haunted. The rumor was that every night, chains would rattle, growing louder and louder. Then, a hideous phantom would appear, the ghost of an old man, utterly filthy and miserable. His beard was long and matted, and his white hair was a mess. Heavy, painful fetters were shackled to his thin legs, which he dragged wearily, moaning all the while. Long, cruel links shackled his wrists, and he would often raise his arms, shaking the chains in silent, angry fury. The house had a to let sign, but year after year it remained empty and fell into ruin. Like most philosophers, Athenodorus was short on cash. Since he needed a cheap rental, he decided to take the house anyway. On his first night, Athenodorus settled into his study. He lit a lamp and began writing a book of philosophy, quickly becoming absorbed in his notes. Suddenly, the distinct sound of a rattling chain broke the silence. It started far away and grew louder. Athenodorus was so focused he didn't stop writing. But as the clanking became continuous and close, he finally looked up. Right before him stood the phantom, exactly as described. The ghastly figure seemed to beckon with its finger. But the philosopher, maintaining his composure, did not panic. He simply waved a hand to signal he was busy, and then calmly returned to his writing. The ghost grew impatient and annoyed by the philosopher's calm reaction. It rattled its chains loudly and angrily right above Athenodorus's head. Athenodorus quietly stood up, picked up his lamp, and motioned for the ghost to lead the way. The ghost complied, leading the philosopher through the house and out into a courtyard. At one specific spot in the garden shrubbery, the phantom vanished into thin air. Athenodorus marked the spot, went back inside, and went soundly to bed. The next morning, he went straight to the local magistrates and told them everything. He suggested they investigate the spot where the ghost had disappeared. The investigators began digging. A few feet down, they unearthed a human skeleton. Ancient, rusted chains still clung to the bones. The remains were carefully collected and finally given a proper burial. After that night, the ghost never appeared again. If you enjoyed the stories, please like and subscribe. And remember, darkness is never far away.